Hey everyone, what's going on? Welcome back to Babylon Talmud. Today we're studying Daf Chaf Daled, Daf 24. I think that means 24 in Yiddish. So, honestly, for most of the Daf, really, it talks about alternative ways of learning Issur, ahila, and Issur hanaah, right? It's essentially a continuation of the last few days. Man, maybe we're wrapping this. Yeah, we must be wrapping this up because towards the end of the page, I think we start talking about other stuff, maybe, or related stuff. But yeah, so we're going to see a few different ways that we can learn out that things that are asur ba'achila are also asur ba'hanaah. But remember, at the end of the day, really the only two things that are asur ba'achila and asur ba'hanaah are chametz on Pesach and shor haniskal, a ox that was stoned. And there's machlokas about chulin shenishchatu ba'azara. But all the other things, we ended up yesterday, and the day before, we kind of showed how there's outs for each of them. How really they're actually mutar ba'hanaah. Okay, so we have a little bit of work to do on Chaf Gimel Amud Beis. Let's get started. So Chaf Gimel Amud Beis, about 15 lines from the bottom. The last word on the line is Yosef. Let me know when you got it. So a certain rabbi was sitting before Reb Shmuel ben Nachmani. Who is Reb Shmuel ben Nachmani? Wow. And he was saying in the name of Reb Yehoshua ben Levi. Okay. So how do we know that all of the things that are asur ba'achila, that how do we know that just like you are not allowed to eat them, you're also not allowed to get benefit from them? And what are these examples of things that you're not allowed to eat and you're not allowed to get benefit from? Chametz on Pesach and a ox that killed a person, and therefore we have to stone the ox. You're not allowed to eat it, you're not allowed to get benefit from it. Tepukle milo yachol. So mina. Wow, I feel like I keep on skipping words. Minayin tepukle milo yachol. So Reb Shmuel ben Nachmani responds to this rabbi, and he says, "What do you mean? Where do you learn it out from? Haven't you learned Daf Chaf Aleph and Chaf Beis of Masechta Pesachim? Lo yachol. Chizkiah. You know Chizkiah, right? Lo yachol. It may not be eaten, and Issur ahila mashma zeh. So why don't you learn it out from there? That's what Reb Shmuel ben Nachmani says. So this rabbi answers, Issur ahila mashmale, Issur hanaah lo mashmale. So he says, good try, but Reb Yehoshua ben Levi says that lo yachol would only imply Issur ahila, but not Issur hanaah. Okay, well then tepukle min nevela. Well then go the Rebbe Bo route, learn it out from a nevela. That by nevela it says lo sochal kon nevela. And then it says, but you're allowed to get benefit from it, implying that every other place you're not allowed to get benefit from it. Saver, lak Reb Yehuda, to Amar, dvarim kichsavon. No, that's not going to work either, because Reb Yehoshua ben Levi holds like Reb Yehuda, who says dvarim kichsavon, that you specifically have to give the nevela to a ger toshav and sell it to a nachri. And for that reason, because it's Tvarim Kichsavim, you could therefore say that every other place is not necessarily asur ba'hanaah, right? It's asur ba'achila, but mutar ba'hanaah. And then specifically by nevela, there are particular stringencies that you have to get hanaah in a specific way by giving it to a ger toshav and selling it to a nachri. But Isav like Rabbi Yehuda, typically mehecha denafkale Rabbi Yehuda. But if Rabbi Yehoshua ben Levi holds like Rabbi Yehuda, well, that's not an insurmountable problem. We said that Rabbi Yehuda, who says Dvarim Kichsavam, he nonetheless will learn out the Issur hanaah from Treifa, where it says Lakela Tashlichun also, that Treifa you can get hanaah from by giving to a dog, but not anything else. Right? So mi Lakela Tashlichun also. So the Gemara answers, so this student says, yeah, but that's not going to work because Rabbi Yehoshua ben Levi holds that chulin shenishchatu ba'azara is the oraisa, that if you have meat that is not kodshim and you shecht it in the azara, in the Beis HaMikdash, so you are so you're not allowed to get hanaah from it. It's also ba'ano. And he learns that out from mi lakelev tashlichun oso. Nu, so minayin. Fine, got it. So then where does Rabbi Yeshua ben Levi learn out that things that are also ba'achila are also ba'ano? The Chsiv, as the pasuk says, kol chatas asher yuva midama v'gomer, that any korban chatas that is not supposed to be in the heichel, and you brought from its blood into the heichel. So it says, lo te'achel ba'ish tisar, that don't eat that korban, you gotta burn it. Shein tamalom ba'ish tisar, that it doesn't need to say that you have to burn it. Let's keep on going for a second. Umat tamalom ba'ish tisar. So then how come it says that you have to burn this, right? Meaning if you have like a korban chatas, let's say. Korban chatas, regular korban chatas, is shechted in the azar, not in the heichel. So if you, however, take the blood and bring it into the heichel, then that's a problem. You're going to have to burn that korban chatas. You can't use it. So now, but why does it say you have to burn it? Imenu inyan legufo. If we don't need it to teach that we have to burn it, because tichsiv v'nei soraf, because in the context by the Chanukas, what was it? By what was it Chanukas HaMizbeach, or right? There was a time when the sons of Aaron, Moshe Rabbeinu got upset at the sons of Aaron for burning a korban, and Moshe Rabbeinu says to them, he says, if what happened was that the blood went into, the blood that was supposed to be outside of the heichel went into the heichel, well then you were supposed to burn it, right? Then that's a good thing. So we already know that in this case, that if the blood that is supposed to be outside of the heichel comes into the heichel, you got to burn the animal, you got to burn the korban. So why do we then need this pasuk to teach us that by a korban chatas, if the blood goes inside of the heichel, you have to burn it? We know that from the pasuk by Moshe Rabbeinu. So Taneu Inyan l'chol Issur Shabbator. So since we don't need this pasuk by korban chatas to teach us that if the blood gets into the heichel, you have to burn the animal. So because we already know that with Moshe Rabbeinu. So why is the pasuk saying that you have to burn the animal? So it must be teaching us something about Issure ahila in general. Now v'meinu inyan la ahila. And if it's not teaching us something about eating those Issur hanaah, because those things already say that you're not allowed to eat them, well, Taneu inyan le'Issur, I'm sorry, if inyan le'Issur achila, right? So if it's not teaching us about Issur achila, because you're already not allowed to eat things that you're not allowed to eat, so Taneu inyan le'Issur hanaah, so it must be teaching us that by all places where you're not allowed to eat something, you're also not allowed to get hanaah from those things. Imakam b'sreifa af kol Isurin shebatorah b'sreifa. But one second. But over here, specifically by korban chatas, you have to burn it. So are we going to say that every single time you're not allowed to eat something, you have to burn it? So Amar Kra b'kodesh ba'ish tisarif. It says no, inside of the kodesh, inside of the hazara, you have to, right? These are things that you have to burn. B'kodesh b'sreifa, kodshim you have to burn. Ve'en kol isun shabatorah b'sreifa. But not every time you're not allowed to eat something do you have to burn it. One second. When it says over here that Bakodesh Ba'ish Tisarif, that when it comes to a Kodshim, you have to burn it. And we say that is coming, it's not necessary, and therefore it's coming to teach us that every time something is also ba'achila, it's also ba'ano. Is that really true? Is that what this pasuk of Bakodesh Ba'ish Tisarif is coming to teach us? That pasuk is needed for Reb Shimon. What does Reb Shimon say? The Tanya. So we're learning a brayso. Reb Shimon Omer says Reb Shimon, Bakodesh Ba'ish Tisarif, that if you have kodshim and they become pasul, so then you have to burn it. Limit al chatas shesarif and osa bakodesh. Oh, so it teaches us that if you have a korban chatas and the korban chatas becomes pasul, so you dafka have to burn it inside of the azar. Ve'einli ela zobavat. Now, all I know is that a korban chatas dafka, if it becomes pasul, you have to burn it in the azar. Psule kodshim kodshim, ve'mori kodshim kalim minayin. How do we know about other kodshim that become pasul, like a korban asham or something, or kodshim kalim? If they become pasul, kodshim kalim are animals like an asham. I just said an asham, like a shlamim, for example, that you offer the korban, and then there are certain things you give to the Kohen, certain things you give to God, and then everything else you can take and you can eat it anywhere in Jerusalem. So you don't have to eat it dafka in the temple. It can be eaten anywhere in Jerusalem. So that's kodshim kalim. So how do we know that if they get pasul, so you have to No, I'm sorry. Wait 1 second. No. Wait 1 second. These kachim kalim. I'm sorry. Emure kachim kalim shnitmu. Sorry. That's exactly what the Gemara said. Emure kachim kalim. Right. Okay. No, it's no big deal. I didn't go way off track. Yeah. Kachim kalim, such as a korban shlamim. Okay. Now the korban shlamim can be eaten anywhere in Jerusalem. However, as I said, part of the korban goes on the mizbeach. Those are what's called the emurim. Those are the specified parts that go on the mizbeach. So those parts, if they become tameh, so you have to burn them in the kodesh, in the azar. Minayin. So how do we know? So Talmud b'chol b'kodesh ba'ish tisarif. Well, that pasuk that says b'kodesh ba'ish tisarif, that you have to burn it in the azar, it starts with v'chol, that everything. So that v'chol, that everything is coming to include emure kache kalim and also kache kachim. Fine. Amalei Rabbi Yonasan. Amalei, sorry. So Amalei. So this student then said to Rabbi Shmuel ben Nachmani. So basically, so what happened, Chevre? So this student was saying that Rabbi Yeshua ben Levi learns out that all things that are also ahila are also hanaah from this pasuk of Bakodesh Ba'ish Tisaref, which is by Korban Chatas, that the blood came inside of the heichel. Now, Rabbi Shmuel bar Nachmani said that, yeah, but we use that pasuk to, right, that's where Reb Shimon learns out that psule kache kachim and emure kachim kalim you have to burn in the azar. So it's not a good place to learn it out. So Omar Le, so this Hahu Merabanan, the certain rabbi, said to Reb Shmuel bar Nachmani, Rabbi Yonasan Rabach mehaikra kamarla. He said, yeah, it's Taka, you're making good points. And the truth is that your teacher, Rabbi Yonasan, so he learns it out from the following pasuk. That this pasuk is when Aaron and his children were anointed to be the Kohanim in the Mishkan, so they brought all of these sacrifices. So it says that that if there will be any of the meat of these korban miluim, these korbans, or from any of their breads that you brought with them until the morning, so then the pasuk says, "V'sarafta anosar ba'esh," that whatever is left over you have to burn. Lo ya'achol ki kodesh, you don't eat it because it's kodesh. Shein tamalomer lo ya'achol, that it doesn't need to say don't eat it because it already said you have to burn it. Umatamalomer lo ya'achol, so why is it saying don't eat it? So if it's not needed to teach me not to eat it, because it already says that whatever's left over you're going to burn. So of course you're not going to then eat it. So let's say that this whole thing about not eating this meat from these miluim korbans are to teach us not that you can't eat them, because we know you can't eat them, you have to burn them. But it's to teach us that whenever the Torah says you're not allowed to eat something, you're talking not allowed to get hanaah from it. So if we don't need it for eating, so then let's say that it's also ba'hanaah. But 1 second, but we can make the argument that just like over here you have to burn these leftovers, so then maybe everything that's also ba'achila you have to burn. So you have to burn what's left over from the korbanos in fire. That what's leftovers, nosar, right? I mean, when you have a korban that wasn't eaten by its specified time, so that you have to burn. But not everything in the Torah that's also b'achila would you have to burn. Then the Gemara says you can't bring that proof. You can't say that from this pasuk by the korbano, by the korbans, by the miluim, when it says that don't eat it, is that really coming to teach us that everything that's also b'achila is also ba'hanaah? We need it for the teaching of Rabbi Elazar. The Amar Rabbi Elazar, lo yochel, right? Yeah, lo yochel ki kodeshu, that they shouldn't be eaten because they are kodesh. Kol sheba kodesh pasol ba'kasel litin lo saisa alechila, so that anything that any kodshim that are pasul, the Torah is saying that that there is a lav associated with eating it, that do not eat it, right? And we learn it out from this pasuk of lo ye'achal, which is extra to teach us that every place where you have kodshim that's pasul, you shouldn't eat it. Omer Abai, says Abai, Le'olam mikrakama. Says Abaye, really what we're looking for can be found in the first pasuk that we brought. The pasuk of Bakodesh Ba'ishti Saref, by the korban chatas whose blood went inside of the heichal. The thing is that we're not actually learning it out from Ba'ishti Saref, which is where Reb Shimon learns out that, psule kodshim and emure kodshim kalim, you have to burn in the azara. We're not learning it out from that part. Tilichtov Ba'ishti Saref, yeah, that's no problem. Write that. And Reb Shimon can learn out what he learns out from it. V'lo ba'i lo se'achol. We don't need it to say that you shouldn't eat this korban chatas, that the blood went inside the heichal. Matam lomar lo se'achol. So why does it say don't eat it? Inyan legufo. If we don't need it to teach about not eating it, then afkale midur belazar, because we already know that from Rabbi Lazar. He said that any psule kodshim, don't eat it. We just learned it 2 seconds ago. So then say that it's talking about everything in the Torah that is also hanaah, that is also ahila, is also going to be also hanaah. V'meinu inyan la'achila. Sorry, so exactly. So Tanei Inin L'cha Issur Shabbatar. So teach it about all of the Issur Shabbatar. V'meinu Inin La'achila. If it's not talking about achila, because all of those things are already asur ba'achila, we know that these are things that are asur ba'achila. So then Tanei Inin L'Issur hanaah. So say that it's talking about Issur hanaah, that they're asur, that you're not allowed to get benefit from them. Imakam b'sreifa afkol Issur Shabbatar b'sreifa. But then the Gemara asks, like it asked earlier, but when it comes to the chatas, that the blood was brought inside, so just like you have to burn it, so I'll say that all of these other things that are also b'achila you also have to burn. Amakra, no sir. That the second pasuk said that specifically leftover korbanos you have to burn. Hanosar b'sreifa ben kol isurin shabbatar b'sreifa. Leftover korbanos you have to burn, but not every single thing that's also b'achila do you have to burn. Omni Rav Papa l'Abai, now Rav Papa says to Abai, Ve'ema liyichude le lav legufe udasa. Rav Papa suggests to Abai, but 1 second. Maybe when it says lo se'achel, by this korban chatas that you brought the blood inside, maybe the point of lo se'achel is to specify that there's a lav associated with it. Because Abai, you said that we already know that you shouldn't eat this korban chatas from the fact that Rabbi Lazar said that all the psule kodshim are also ba'achila, but that wouldn't say that if you eat it, we're going to whack you with lashes. But we want to whack you with lashes. It's fun. So therefore, if we could say that, lo se'achel, by this korban chatas, that the blood went inside, it says lo te'achel, do not eat it. Well then, we could give you lashes. Because in lokana lav shebachlalos, you can't give lashes if it's an implied lav. If the reason not to do it is implied. But if we could show that it specifically says black on white, don't eat this, well then we could give you lashes. And it will be fun for us. Ella Amar Rav Papa. So rather, says Rav Papa, me'acha. So Rav Papa gives his own suggestion of how we know that things that are asur b'achila are asur b'hanaah. V'abasa shiga b'chol tamei lo ye'achel b'ay shisarif. That if you have meat that touches something that, if you have kodshim, like korban meat, that touches b'chol tamei, touches anything that is impure, lo ye'achel, don't eat it, b'ay shisarif, you have to burn it. Shein tam v'lomar lo ye'achel. So it doesn't need to say that you shouldn't eat this kodshim meat that became tamei. How come it says don't eat it? Well, if we don't need it to teach us not to eat it, because we can learn it out from a kal v'chomer from meiser, which is more lenient than kodshim. Meiser akal amar Torah. If by meiser, which is more lenient than kodshim, the Torah says lo biarti mimenu b'tameh, that when you do vidui meiser, right? When you go to bring all of your meiser sheni to Yerushalayim, and you say lo biarti, right? Lo achalti, what? Lo achalti ba'oni mimenu v'lo. Lo achalti ba'oni mimenu v'lo biarti mimenu lemeis. I don't know. Lo biarti mimenu b'tameh. I guess that's what it is. But so I didn't eat it when I was tameh. So if we're seeing that meiser you don't eat when you're tameh, so b'sar kodesh chomer lo kol sheken, well then certainly you should not be eating kodshim when you are tameh. Oh, the next door neighbor is playing basketball again. I was hoping it was going to get too cold for him, but it's just the way it works with like nudniks. Nudniks are always going to be nudniks, whether it's cold, whether it's hot. Well, I just have to focus. Okay. So what were we saying? Who can remind me? Basically, we're trying to figure out what are we trying to figure out? Right. We're trying to figure out how we know that things that are asur b'achila are also asur b'hanaah. And we're saying, well, from the fact that it says that by the meat of korbanos, if they become tameh, don't eat them. Well, we already know not to eat them because we don't eat meiser, and meiser is more lenient than meat of kodshim. Well, then if you don't eat meiser when it's tameh, so in b'sar kodesh chamor lo kol sheken, well then certainly you shouldn't be eating meat of korbanos that is tameh. And Rav Papa continues and he says, and if you're going to say, yeah, but you can't warn from a kal v'chomer. You can't just say that, well, because logically I can say that I shouldn't eat, that I don't eat meiser when I'm tameh, so therefore also I can't eat korban meat when I'm tameh, and there you're warned. Right, but you can't do that from a kal v'chomer. It has to be the warning has to be explicitly written in the Torah. Hekeshu. So the Gemara says, or Papa says, yeah, but I can argue that it's not simply a kal v'chomer. It's actually a hekesh. It's actually juxtaposed in the psukim, in the verses. Lo sucha lecho b'sharecha, that you're not allowed to eat in your midst. Meiser degancha tiroshcha v'tzarecha, the meiser of your grain, wines and oils, uvchors bekarcha v'gomer, and also the bechors of your cattle, the firstborn of your cattle, and then it says nidarecha v'nitvosecha, and those are korbanos. So matam lomar lo ye'achel. So one second. So that pasuk juxtaposed korbanos to meiser. So therefore, we see that we can compare, right? The pasuk, the Torah juxtaposes meiser and korbanos, and therefore, just like meiser, you don't eat when you're tameh. So therefore, also korbanos, you do not eat. Meiser, you do not eat if it gets tameh. So you also do not eat korbanos if they become tameh. So then, ma tamulomar lo ye'achol. So then, why does the pasuk need to say that if korban meat gets tameh, don't eat it? Well, here we go. Imenu inyan legufo. Well, if we don't need to teach us not to eat it because we know it from meiser, well then taneu inyan lechol issur in Shabbat Torah. So let's say it's not referring to korban meat; it's referring to all things in the Torah that you don't eat. Imenu inyan ahila, and if it's not telling me not to eat those things because we already know not to eat the things that you're not allowed to eat, so taneu inyan la'anah. So say that it's teaching that you don't get benefit from those things. Then the Gemara says, but you burn kodshim that are tameh, right? As the pasuk says, you have to burn it. So, do I have to burn all food that I'm not allowed to eat? So, Amar Kra, hanosar b'sefer vein kol issur Shabbat Torah b'sefer, specifically korbans that are left over, nosar, that is what you have to burn. But you don't have to burn all of the Issur in the Torah, right? Everything that you're not allowed to eat. Fine. Ravina says to Ravashi, so then Ravina asks Ravashi, but wait, you didn't need to teach that by kachim meat that becomes tameh, you have to, you're not allowed to eat it, because we know that from Issur, sure. But Ravina suggests to Ravashi, but maybe the reason why it says that you're not allowed to eat it is that you're going to be violating two lavs, right? Meaning, sure, I already know from the juxtaposition of Issur and kachim meat that you're not allowed to eat kachim meat that became tameh, but maybe by saying that specifically, explicitly, that you're not allowed to eat kachim meat that becomes tameh, it means that now you'll be violating two violations. Wow, Lav miyamar Abaye, because after all, didn't Abaye say, Acha putisa loke arba? That if you ate this putisa, if you ate some kind of like water sherets, so then you get 4 times malchus. Nimala loke chomesh, if you eat an ant, you get 5 times malchus. Tzira loke sheish, if you eat a wasp, then you get 6 times malchus. So we see that there is a concept of like piling up on lavs. So Ravina suggests to Ravashi, why don't we just say that even though we don't need to teach specifically that you're not allowed to eat kachim meat that became tameh, but let's say that the Torah put it there to double up on the violations that you're doing by eating it. So Ravashi answers to Ravina, Ravashi answers Ravina, he says, look, it's a good question, but if we are able to make some kind of a drasha, if we're able to learn out something from a lav, such as this, to teach that everything that's also ahila is also hanaah, so then we'd prefer to do that than to just say that we're doubling up on lav so we can give you more malchus. It would be fun for us, but whatever. We don't do it. Says the Gemara, so the pasuk says any meat that touches something that's tameh may not be eaten. So when it says va'abasar, the meat, you don't necessarily need it to say the word meat, right? Because from b'chol tameh lo ya'achel, we learned out already that anything that's also ahila is also hanaah. What do we learn out from va'abasar? Right, so the ratio at the beginning of the pasuk, lamali, why do I need it? So l'rabos eitzim levona, to include that it's not just meat but also wood and frankincense. If they become tameh, so then you got to burn them. Va'abasar kotar yochabasar tiseife lamali. When it says in the end va'abasar kotar yochabasar, why do we need it to say va'abasar? L'rabos emurin. Okay, that's to teach us emurin, that if you have like the parts that go on the mizbeach that became tameh, so then you got to burn those things as well. Emur mehasam nafka. I'm sorry, so emur mehasam nafka. So the Gemara says, what do you mean? But we learn it out emurim from somewhere else. The Tana is we learn in a brayso about nefesh shetochal basar mizevach hashlav masher Hashem. That somebody who eats meat from a korban shlamim and he's tameh, so he's in big trouble. He gets kares. So the Rabbis say emurim, and from that pasuk we say that it even includes emurim. So we learn out emurim from there. Why are we saying that we learn out emurim from babasar kotar yochabasar? So the Gemara answers hasam emurim. Hasam tumas aguf b'karei sacha tumas basar belav. There is a difference. That second pasuk is talking about if you eat the emurim when you are tameh, so then you are chayiv kares. The first pasuk is teaching us that if the emurim are tameh, well then it's just a lav, don't do it. Amr Rabbo, Amr Rabbi Yochanan, says Rabbi Abba in the name of Rabbi Yochanan, Kol Issurin Shebatorah Ein Lokan Alein Ela Derech Achilasan. Interesting. So all of the things that are usur in the Torah, that you're not allowed to eat them, you only get malchus, right? So like we were talking about malchus before, right? For example, if you eat, what was like Abaye's example? Oh, well, if you have like this korban chatas that you have to burn, so if you eat it, so then you chayiv malchus. So, anyways, anything in the Torah, but anything that you're not allowed to eat in the Torah. So you only chayiv malchus if you eat it the way that you normally eat it, right? It has to be the normal way of consumption. What are we excluding from here? That if you eat raw chaylev, you're potter. We said that if you eat these particular fats of an animal, you're chayiv kares, but generally those fats would be cooked. If you eat them raw, then you're going to be potter. Okay? Ikadamri, there are those who say, Amar Babo, Amar B'Yochanan, Kol Isurin Shabbatorah in Lokan Alein Ela Derech HaNa'ason. There are those who say that says Rabbi Abo, in the name of Rabbi Yochanan, that you're only chayiv malchus if you eat these things by way that you generally benefit from them. Lemutimai, to exclude what? Amar of Shimon Bar Ashi, lemute, shemini achelev shel shor aniskal, agavi makoso. If you have a wound and you take the chelev, the forbidden fats of a shor haniskal that we said that is also ba'ano, and you put it on your wound, sheu pater, you're going to be pater for that because it's not the normal thing that you do with forbidden fats. Usually you might use them for like hides, to apply to hides, but not to apply to wounds. And certainly if you eat raw forbidden fats, you're going to be pater. Marnami was also stated, Amr Acha bar Avya, Amr Asi, Amr Yochanan, Hini achelev shel shor aniskal davim hakaso pater. That if a person puts chelev, forbidden fats, from a ox that needs to be stoned on his wound, so he's pater. Because all of the things in the Torah that are forbidden, you're only chayiv malchus if you do them by way of their normal benefit. Amar Reb Zera, says Reb Zera. Afanunami Tanina, we also have a Mishnah that says, Ein sof ginas ha'arbayim mishum orla ela ala yotzim min hazesim umen anovim bilvad. That when you get malchus for eating orla, right, eating fruits in their first 3 years, it's only ayotzim min hazesim umen anovim. Only if you olive oil or grape juice or wine, but not from tutim, te'enim, v'rimonim. What's tutim? So I think we had a Gemara in Masechta Shabbos. I wanted to say that it was strawberries, but then Rabbi Yisrael, and I think there were others as well, who significantly outvoted me and said it's taka mulberries, I think. So we'll go with them. Anyways, so but strawberries, figs, and pomegranates. Have you ever had fig juice? That doesn't sound so great. Figs are absolutely delicious. Fresh figs like they have in Eretz Yisrael are absolutely delicious. And rimonim, pomegranate juice. Pomegranate juice, in my opinion, is good as long as you take out the white rind. With the white rind, it's very bitter and dry, but without it, it's absolutely delicious. Hakoponim. So we're saying that when it comes to orla, you're going to be chayiv if you drink grape juice or olive oil from orla, but not mulberry juice or fig juice or pomegranate juice. My time, how come? Lav mishum lo ka'achilu derech hanaah. Is it not because you are not consuming them in the normal way that they are consumed? Amale Abaye. Abaye says, meh. Bishlami yashminam prigufa lo ka'achilu derech hanaah shapir. Abai says, look, if we were teaching about eating the fruit itself, and we're saying that you're not eating the fruit itself in a certain way, so then I could say, okay, it's not the normal way that you enjoy it. But this is a different story. The reason why you're pater here is because when it comes to mulberry juice or fig juice or pomegranate juice, it's just considered sweat of the fruit, as opposed to olives and grapes, where the juice is actually considered the fruit itself. Wow, this would be a great raya. Oh my goodness gracious. I mean, this is going back like almost a year now already, but when we learned Masechta Brachos, I think that was basically the consensus, I think, was that specifically by grapes and olive, I think their juice is considered the fruit or something. Oh gosh, I'd have to look it up. But everything else is just considered Ze'ah Ba'alma, but I don't know. Anyways, Chava, so we're going to stop here. There's a big daf. We're going to stop here. And that was daf Chavdal from Masechta Pesachim. I mean, most of the daf was really kind of this very technical stuff, trying to bring proofs of how we know the things that are asur b'achila are also asur b'hanaah. We had the Sahu Rabbanon, who was bringing from Rabbi Yeshua ben Levi, and we had Rabbi Yonasan, we had Abai. It looks like really the proof that kind of stuck today was Rav Papa, who said that we learned it out from it says that B'sar Kodshim meat that becomes tummy, don't eat it. That we don't necessarily need to teach, don't eat it, because you know from Meiser, but it says don't eat it anyways to teach us that things that are also b'achila are also b'hanaah. And then at the end we got into an interesting discussion about things that are usur to eat, you have to dafka eat them in the way that you normally eat them. Alright, that was Daf Chaf Daled from Masechta Pesachim. I hope you enjoyed it. Peace.